Hello, my name's Lee Powell. I'm the editor of AsianInvestor. I'm here today at our Women in Asset Management event over in Kowloon side in Hong Kong. I'm very lucky to be here with Alexa Lam, the former Deputy CEO of the Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission. Welcome, Alexa. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Lee.
What are you actually doing now, can I ask?
First of all, just before I left the SFC, my husband and I went to Cambodia, and I broke my ankle. Clean break. My friends were laughing at me, clean break, just on the eve of your departure. So for 1 month, I was in a cast in the whole March. So I had to be homebound anyway. So during that month, I caught up with a lot of things that I didn't have a chance to do, like a lot of the readings that I put away. So I had to catch up. And of course, you also try to keep up with what was going on. And also, I was invited by University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Michigan, to be their inaugural distinguished visitor. It's a mouthful. At their Chinese Center, Chinese Studies Center, which you probably know is one of the premier academic think tanks in the United States. So they invited me to give a talk of my choice. So I picked for myself the topic of China 2015 to 2025. So the whole of March, I was home and I had to prepare my public lecture. And of course, on top of the public lecture, they also wanted me to do some class lectures. And I was looking forward to that because there has always been a part of me that likes to teach, because I like to be with younger people and to see how they grow and to try and help them. So I was looking forward to that. So the whole March, I was preparing my public lecture and all the class lectures. And then in April, I went to Ann Arbor. So I spent like 3 weeks in the United States, and that was actually very interesting and very fruitful for me. So I've only just been back a couple of weeks. So far it's worked out very well. And you guys probably know that later in the year, I will start teaching at Hong Kong University.
So the teaching passion is coming through. So in terms of China 2015 to 2025, and you caught up with some of the reading. Can you talk about the key takeaways from your thought?
Well, the key takeaway, of course, is you look at the Premier's work report, which was delivered back in March this year. China is the number 2 economy, number 1 exporter, and its GDP is actually, the GDP growth was something like 8%, which it was slowing down, but it's still miles ahead of the other major economies. But then, of course, this masks some very deep structural imbalances. Like, for instance, in terms of GDP per capita, it ranks number 80 in the world, a number 2 economy with a GDP per capita of number 80. So it right away tells you that there are some very deep-seated structural issues. And of course, it has to deal with a lot of challenges like environmental degradation, inequality of wealth, all those issues. So the question then is, how is China going to continue to deliver growth across the whole country so that everyone gets the benefit? And also, most importantly, how to overcome the middle income trap, which is facing right now. And the reason I picked 2025 is because the Premier actually himself picked 2025. He talked about Made in China 2025, meaning in 10 years' time, he wants China to be one of the premier manufacturing centers where they go for quality, they have branding, and is high-end, that kind of thing. And of course, that's part of the structural rebalancing that it has to go through. So how is it going to get from here to there? And the way I look at it, they really have to open up their capital market, and they have to use market forces and market discipline to intelligently and responsibly allocate capital to the most deserving of enterprises and entrepreneurs, because what they need, and the Premier also made this point loud and clear in his work report, and that is what they need is to encourage people to innovate and to be entrepreneurs. But that requires a deep and well-functioning capital market to do the job. So I think the answer is in the opening up the capital market, which they're doing now, and then the Shanghai Hong Kong Connect is actually one facet of that opening, right? We can all see that, and after this, there will be other openings, not just with Hong Kong, but with other major markets in the world. That's very clear. So that was my major takeaway.